In this video, we're going to talk about the best jig heads for Zman baits. This is a question that came in from Kristian Greeve, a subscriber. Thought it was a great question, so I decided let's just go ahead and make a video about it because it's very important. Rigging soft plastics is 90% of the game. They have to be rigged right, and choosing the correct jig head for the right application is a big part of that. And so Zmans are really particular, really interesting. They're a totally different type of material, and so in many cases it can use a very different type of jig head. And so we're going to talk about two different recommendations. One is if you're only going to use Zmans, which there are a lot of people who are that brand loyal, and that's totally okay. I personally am not. So the second part is I'm going to talk about jig heads that can be really good for both Zmans and other soft plastics. So if you do need to switch a tail, a color, a size, whatever the case is, you can easily do that without retying. You just simply take the tail off and then replace the different tail onto the same jig head and still have good results. All right, so let's tackle the first one. So this is if we're only going to use Zman Baits. These are two really good jig heads that I found that have been very successful. This one over here on the right is very unique in the fact that it just has this little bar, and this little bar has little barbs on it. And so the general premise is that with Zman material is that you just need something. You can see it a lot better on this one. You need a jig head that has really sharp points that are pointing up towards the jig head, because that little material, all it takes is just a little bit of that material to hold on to one of these points, and it's not going anywhere. It's going to be set for a very long time. And this is the prime example, right? This one, there's not any huge point like there was on the other jig head. It's just a series of little small points, and this is shockingly good for rigging Z-Man. So this one in particular, this is the exact one I was using and the exact bait. I was down in the Keys and I had rigged this up, and it's just super simple to rig, which is why I like it. So it's the bad thing about Z-Mans is that they are tough to rig. Just because the material is just so, it's very unique. It's very strong while still being light and flexible, but it makes it hard to rig these jig heads. And this type of jig head that doesn't have like that huge point that you have to kind of rip the material over, you just poke it in, and then that little bar with the barbs just sticks right through, and then it doesn't come out. Right? I can sit here, I'm going to grab right behind the hook, and I'm going to pull. And I've had to pull pretty hard, and this bait has caught probably 15 to 20 mangrove snapper and a decent amount of trout as well. So this bait has been used, and I had to put, again, a lot of force. Let me just do it again. I had to put a lot of force. You can see how much stretch there is. That's a good amount of force to actually start pulling the bait off. And so now you can see that there is a gap. And so now, so the con about this jig head is that it does not do well with non-Zman soft plastics. This little barb is just not enough. I'll put my finger there so you can see it. It's just not enough. It doesn't have enough hold to handle gulps or zooms or DOAs. So this is definitely an only Zman jig head, and that's why you probably haven't seen it in any of my videos, because I'm most often switching from different brands when I am in need of either covering a different depth or different type of tail for a vibration, so on and so forth. So now let's go and just check out the other type of jig head. Right, this is the one. This is actually made by Zman as well. It's called the Trout Eye. Has these bigger humps. So the con is more difficult to rig, but the pro is that this does match up better with non-Zman baits. And so again, just how to rig it, and you can see a detailed video on. I'll put a link down below for it. But just same premise. But the con though is that it is kind of hard to rig it up to get up over these humps. Basically, you have to be real forceful with it. And there it is. So now it's rigged up properly, right? So you can see that. And then as far as the hold strength, I'm gonna put my finger at the same point, and I'm pulling, and it's on there good, right? That's more power than before, and it barely budged, right? So a fish could never put that much pressure on it. And it's still on there. It's not coming off. And so two different jig heads that are not made by Zman that are still really good is first of all I'll go over this one. This is made by Eagle Claw. It's called the Trocar, And again, it's the same premise, right? Where you can basically you should be able to look at these jig heads and know if they're going to be good. So I'll put my fingers back here so you can see it. So you can see that, there's those two barbs that are pointing up, pointing back towards the jig head, and that is a telltale sign that the Zman material is going to hold. It's going to hold pretty well. And so these are the only con about this one is that these little barbs, they are kind of weak. So after you catch a fish or two, in many cases the fish thrashing can compromise these barbs, which is going to take away the effectiveness of the rig. So yes, I do like these. I don't use these quite as often. One that I actually prefer a little bit better, let me pull this up, is this one here. It's made by DOA. And again, same premise, right? You can look at it, has the really big barb on the bottom, a smaller one up top, and then it has an extra little hump right there at the top too. And so this is one that I found that is really kind of all-encompassing, where the type of like Zman material that need the barbs, it has it, and then some others kind of do great with a hump, like DOAs in particular, which is this is what it was made for. It does great. So again, in the same premise, the con with Zmans is that it does make it a little bit more difficult to rig, right? Because you have to go over now two things. You have to go over these barbs and the hump. But just like before, when you do it, like when you do get it there, let me see if I can even do it. So again, I put a lot of pressure on it, get it way up there, and so once you do it, it's on there. It's on there good. It's not going to go anywhere. Again, put my finger back behind it and pull, and that's about as far as I can pull without risking flopping back on my fingers, and it's not going anywhere. That thing is in there good. A fish is not going to pull that off, and so you can go out there and catch a bunch of fish with one bait and not have to worry about that the pesky issue where the soft plastic starts shooting down the jig head and looks terrible in the water. All right, so now for an example of what type of jig head to not use with Zmans, and that would be this one, right? You can see, so there's no barb, right? I put my finger back there, my hand back there, so there's no type of barb that's aiming back towards the jig head, right? It's just small little humps. And so this particular one, this is made by Mustad. And so I personally wouldn't recommend this for any soft plastic because there's really nothing for the baits to hold on to. And so let me just show you. I'll go ahead and rig it up and do the pull test, if you will, and you'll see. So I'm gonna make sure that's all the way up. All right, so that's not it's not a perfect rigging, but I was doing it quick with the camera. And so again, so this is how it would be swimming in the water. And then as far as doing the pull test, right, I'm just going to do it down here, and you can see it's already starting to shift off, and I haven't really done that much pressure right in there. So now when that does happen, right, if you cast too hard or if you get a short strike where the fish just grabs the tail, when this does happen, this is not going to catch any fish. This is going to look terrible in the water. It's going to be helicoptering, and so this is what you want to avoid. And as far as all-around effectiveness, I really do like these two jig heads. That they just work great with the Zman material as well as the material from other products. This one again is made by Zman called Trout Eye, and this is the DOA cow jig heads. These can pretty much be found in most tackle stores. These are a little bit tougher to find, but they're still out there, and I'll put links down below to where you can get them online. And if you do have any other jig heads that I didn't mention that you would say is really good or is really bad, we're not biased here. Please do leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. And if you are looking to get better at catching more inshore fish with artificial lures, it's most often not going to be the actual bait. It's more about the overall strategy. And so I'll put together this ebook that you can download totally for free that'll teach you the 3 cornerstones that you have to implement to get consistent results. So I definitely recommend checking that out. But either way, thank you so much for your time. Hopefully you can get on the water soon and catch some big ones.